Hello everybody! The name is Reverie Planetarian, and the game is something a little different once again. This is a game called Automation, where you simulate running your own car company by building your brand entirely from scratch. The engines, the car bodies, the brand range, you name it, you can probably build it. Today I won't be building any cars, because what I want to do today is I want to try and recreate an infamous motorcycle engine. This is an engine that maybe people might not have heard of, but I found out about it from this blog run by this guy called Jason Cormier. It's called Odd Bike, and he likes writing blog posts about really interesting, unusual motorcycles. And the one we'll be looking at today is the Kawasaki Z1R-TC, which was made, as you can see in the year now, in 1978. Okay, cast your mind back to 1978 and put yourself in the mind of Kawasaki. Your flagship bike series, the Z1, has been on the shelves for about 5 years now. It's old. You need a new model, but you need to buy yourself some time. And what's worse is that your Z1 bike, even with the brand new Z1R that you made just last year, isn't very popular. You know you've got to sell them, and you know you've got to move them, especially in America. So what do? Nope, you're totally wrong. Kawasaki's plan was to take their Z1 and turbocharge it. And that's what we're going to recreate here today. So I've got the exact specifications for the bike here. So I'm just going to spend a few minutes making sure the bore and stroke are correct. It's a slightly over square engine, which means the bore was a bit bigger than the stroke. So that's pretty good. This engine will come out to about 1,015 cubic centimeters, so just over a liter, and that is about as that's interesting. It's about as close as we can get it. That'll get us right under a liter, actually. And it had dual overhead cams, 2 valves. We're well on our way. Now I'm making some fast and loose assumptions here, but I really want this well, let's just say they did that, because I really want this this thing to work, most of all. But yeah, let's assume it was the very cheap one here. I have the exact compression ratio. Let's start with a sport profile. The target is going to be something about what is this? 90 horsepower. Now, you might think it's weird that I'm starting with a naturally aspirated engine, but what you have to realize is that this bike was really weird. It had, it was really weird because it had a, like, you have your engine, right? You have this bike engine. And turbocharging involves changing things like the spark ignition and the timing and all that. Nope. Not for Kawasaki. They just had these guys who were outside of Kawasaki themselves slap on a turbo kit to a completely stock Z1 engine, and that was pretty much it. It's weird that this thing ever really saw the light of day. It's utterly bizarre. So let's see. Not exactly sure what kind of production it had. It's telling me it had 4 carbs. So I'm assuming they wanted to make it something like this. I'm trying to kind of work for, well, what fits on a bike, right? I don't really have any specifications on what the mixture was, right? So all I've got to go on are like the red line and the dimensions of the engine. And I'm going to assume that, right, this is kind of looking like what the engine would have had. No catalytic converter. I'm guessing it had a straight through exhaust, and that was pretty much it. And now I'm going to test it out and see if, just from this guesswork right here, if I got anywhere near the 90 horses that the bike engine would have had. And valve float is already causing me to lose power right here. That's not a very good sign for our Kawasaki. So let's go back in. I'm not going to change the rev limit because that's what the bike had to deal with. So I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess that this is going to, like, what I really want to do is reduce the valve float. This is a bad sign if we're already having this kind of trouble, and maybe advance the ignition? So we're already getting 90 horsepower, and if we bump up the fuel mixture even more, we can get, yeah, that's about 92 horsepower. And what we really want is for the bike to have that really want to have that 90 to start with, and we really want to keep those valves from getting away from us. This is problematic because the Z1R-TC, the turbos, gave it really terrible valve float, and this engine is already looking scary peaky. So I'm already having, I'm already very worried. So if we're going to do what the Kawasaki guys did, we're going to slap on a turbo kit, and oh boy, already the engine's going to explode. So let's see if we put on an intercooler. Oh, this is bad. Well, maybe if we turn down the boost to what we would have gotten with the TC, which was 10 pounds of boost going to the back. And they seem really mum on what the turbo exactly was, so we have a little hunting to do. So, alright, let's say that this is a bike engine that has to fit... It's a turbo that's got to fit behind the engine, just like behind the rider's butt, right? So, let's get the... Right, we can't turn the turbine up anymore. And the AR ratio like that, you can't really get much more power. So let's assume if we advance the timing any further, the engine's just going to detonate on us. And if we add more fuel, we don't get much more power. This is a really bad sign. I'm using the information that Kawasaki themselves had, and I'm using the... Ah, there we go. So if we change the cam profile a little bit, we get 102 horsepower, which is a little off from our goal of making 130, with what is essentially a stock Z1. So carbs aren't really going to give us more power. This is looking very bad for the bike. If we change the exhaust shape a little bit, no. This is baffling. All right, we've got a little work to do here. So a stock 78 Z1R isn't going to do it. And if we bump up the this ratio, we just blow up the engine. If we turn up the boost, do we get any more power? We get no more power. Well, this is a conundrum. Let's just set this back to 10 psi, and maybe if we turn up the... Oh, that's really weird. If we turn up the quality of the engine... Yeah, let's say... Ah, well, okay. That's quite interesting. Alright, so if we give the engine sort of the benefit of the doubt, we get 119, and we need to find... We need to find, say, 11 more horsepower. Adding a bigger intercooler to it? Well, no, it might be nice for the engine, but we really can't. If we use a race intake, we only get 1 horse. Twin carbs, we get a little more power. And on that kind of gas, we don't really get much more go. We can change the exhaust diameter. We don't really get anything else. Well, that's very strange. Yeah, we don't really get all that much more power out of it. On the other hand, we do very nicely replicate the power and torque curves of the bike. It was always said to have really terrible turbo lag, about 4,000 or 5,000 RPM. It would actually wake up and then it would fire you towards the horizon. So, okay, let's turn the dial a year forward now, while the game reloads everything about the bike. And let's give this bike the benefit of the doubt. There was a second bike the year after, the Z1R-TC 2, where they decided the way to go was going to be making a bike which was more suited towards actually using the turbocharger. So they did things like they played the compression a little, they changed the ignition. They changed the ignition timing so that they could pump up the boost. nothing. This doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot. Well, okay, let's switch it to 20 PSI. Change the ignition timing. Huh. Oh, that's strange. Really seems like the game doesn't want to play along. I'm going to get 123 horsepower, and perhaps if we crank up the boost all the way, but nothing. That's really strange. If we turn it up, we get a little bit more boost, and oh wait, whoa, wait a second. So if we turn it up to, we get 125, and that's so sad. We are still off the we're still off the TC's power. Like the TC1, maybe this would have been the TC2, because the Z1R-TC2 was when they realized they'd had enough of the whole valve float issue, and actually what they did was they turned down the boost, right? And that would lower the power, but I guess something in the 120s would probably be what the TC2 would have gotten. That is really annoying. Almost got the power there of the TC2. Couldn't quite do it. Like, couldn't quite get the TC1's power with the best of 1970s technology. Which is a little baffling. But, hey, we tried our best, and I guess that's all that really counts. I think next time I'll look for some more interesting bike engine projects, and I'll see if I can replicate them, because this is kind of a fun challenge, and we did get an all-right engine out of it. It's just not one that duplicates the crazy Z1R-TC. For one thing, it's a lot more reliable than the TC was. Like, there's no valve float. It won't break rods, or it won't twist the crank, or it won't do anything real stupid like that. It'll actually be kind of sensible. It won't try and eat itself every time it starts. It's something to think about, really. And I guess that kind of problem proves that old adage, right? Speed is a matter of money. How fast do you want to go? Well, that's all for now, everybody. See you next time.